The Russia-Ukraine war continues with new developments. The Ukrainian army is working on new attacks methods, planning to organize operations against Russia with unconventional strategies. Ukraine's course in the war is very successful. Russian soldiers will be shocked by Ukraine's new attack method. Let's analyze Ukraine's new strategy together. First of all, let's learn about the current state of the war through current data and maps. Russia started its invasion of Ukraine from the eastern regions of the country. It was able to occupy only 4 regions with the operation it organized. However, Ukraine managed to liberate more than half of the occupied territories in a short time. The most important achievement for Ukraine was the liberation of its largest regional capital, Kherson. Ukraine inflicted huge losses on the Russian army to liberate Kherson. Ukrainian soldiers, who did not want even an inch of their territory to be occupied, pushed the Russian army back to the east of the Dnipro River. Russia was cornered in this region. The fighting in the war is in full swing. There are also clashes in Bakhmut in Donetsk region. Russia has suffered more casualties than Ukraine in most of its occupied territories. Although the Russian government is trying to hide its losses, the Ukrainian Defense Ministry continues to prepare reports on Russia's losses. In just one day, Russia lost 760 military personnel, 2 tanks, 9 armored vehicles and 46 drones. The current list of Russia's total losses is as follows: 106,720 military personnel, 3,031 tanks, 6,084 armored vehicles, 2,021 artillery systems, 1,792 unmanned aerial vehicles, 283 airplanes, 269 helicopters, 16 ships, 213 air defense systems, 723 cruise missiles. The Kremlin leadership is also aware that it cannot win the war because of the losses, but the reason they want to continue the war is to destabilize Ukraine. What they are planning is sure to be costly for Russian army. The Ukrainian army is not only resisting, it is organizing operation after operation to stop Russia's advance and invasion. Ukraine, which has been successful in many operations, continues to liberate its territory. In addition to the operations, the explosions in Russia also attract attention. These explosions are thought to be caused by Ukraine. The explosions occurred at Engels Military Airport in Saratov and the Agilevo Military Airport in Ryazan. Bombers were reportedly damaged in these explosions. Russia is suffering new material losses as a result of the damage of these aircraft. In response to the situation, Russia's military aircraft are being towed to hangars. It is claimed that the explosions were caused by drones. It was reported that a fuel tanker exploded in the Agilevo, killing 3 people and injuring 6 others. It is said that 2 of the wounded are in serious condition. There are new explosions in Russia every day. As a result of these explosions, many people lose their lives and dozens of people are injured. The Russian government is unable to prevent explosions. Most of the explosions are claimed to be carried out by Ukraine, but these allegations show that KGB agents and Russian intelligence are weak in the war. Russia continues to lose face. There is no concrete evidence to prove the claim that the explosions were caused by Ukraine. Yet people believe this claim. So why is the Russian government preventing news coverage of these explosions when it fails to prevent them? Because Putin made the biggest mistake of his political career. Declaring war on Ukraine and invading its territory ended Putin's political career. The Russian army was considered one of the most powerful in the world, but its defeats against Ukraine showed the world how weak the Russian army actually is. Putin and the Russian army are no longer considered a global power, and yet Putin still propagandizes his people in the Russian state media. Putin's plans have become Russia's nightmare. Ukraine continues to organize operations. It is successful in many operations. Russia, on the other hand, is unable to explain these operations against its military bases. Russia is unable to calculate, tarnishing the image of a strong state he wants to create. The whole world is following the data published daily by the Ukrainian Defense Ministry. Even though Putin has banned the Russian press from reporting on these issues, Russian citizens can access the current data of the war through their social media accounts. Ukraine aims to increase its operations against Russia before winter. Ukraine, which plans to attack again in the face of Russia's failed attempts, seems to surprise with different strategic methods. Allegations that many of Russia's military bases will be destroyed by Ukraine are on the agenda. It is a matter of curiosity when Russian troops will continue to withdraw from these regions. On the other hand, Ukraine does not give up its operations. The Russian army is forced to defend itself against Ukraine's attacks. Ukraine's attacks are mostly successful. Russia's losses, on the other hand, are increasing the reactions of the Russian people against Putin. Putin is unable to fix the problems on the battlefield. Many protests organized by the opposition are becoming more and more popular. The group supporting Putin is a minority. If Ukraine continues its successful operations, Putin's job is very difficult. At this rate, it seems that Putin will not be able to keep his seat. The political environment in Russia is completely uncertain. Experts and generals are predicting that the end of the war in the summer of 2023. Russia is in a difficult situation because of its losses. If the army and weapons problems cannot be solved, the war seems to end completely in favor of Ukraine. In case of the war is lost, Putin's leadership seems to come to an end. So who will be the leader of Russia after Putin? This question has been on the Russian agenda a lot lately. Opponents are making statements to the Russian people to fill Putin's vacant seat. Those who want to come to power are creating an atmosphere of political tension in Russia. Collaborations are already underway for a possible change in the Russian government. With his moves in Ukraine, he managed to drag Russia into chaos. Zelensky, with his strategic moves, managed to defeat Putin both on the battlefields and in the political arena. Putin is suffering one of the heaviest defeats in history. With 23 years of leadership, Putin, one of the most experienced politicians in the world, has been defeated by Zelensky, one of the fresh leaders. The intelligence gaps in Putin's government, who worked as a KGB agent for years, are also very interesting. Putin is slowly losing his leadership of Russia. Putin's political career, which gave Russia a hard time after the invasion of Ukraine, will come to an end. 23 years of leadership was not enough to help Putin to win the war. Russia has been through many crises so far and has managed to overcome them. But the damage of Russia's defeat against Ukraine will not be easily overcome. Putin suffered his heaviest defeat against a new leader of 3 years. The Ukrainian army is planning to increase its operations. Explosions are imminent in the biggest and most important bases of the Russian army. Russian soldiers continue to surrender due to fear. The Ukrainian army, which actively uses drones, will show many activities with drones in its new operations. The Russian army has no defense system that can challenge Ukrainian drones. Russia, which is weak in terms of aircraft, is in a panic. If the operations to be organized by the Ukrainian army are against military bases, it seems that the revolts of Russian soldiers will increase. Many Russian soldiers who are rebelling due to problems within the army may increase their rebellion after these attacks. The anger of Russian soldiers may make Russia lose the war in a shorter time. Putin will be helpless in this situation. Putin's nightmare will come true. What do you think about Ukraine's war strategies? How are Zelensky's speeches and behavior affecting the war? Do you think that the successive explosions in Russia were caused by Ukraine? Do you think the explosions in Russia will continue? Share your thoughts with us. Follow us to be informed about the developments.